Even before Halo 4's release, creative director Josh Holmes began looking for its replacement for the next Halo title. Being a bit more interested in building 343 Industries after telling his story with Halo 4, Tim Longo joined as creative director in late 2012. With Halo 5 a few months into production, general manager Bonnie Ross recalled that after Halo 4, the team spent a lot of time discussing where they wanted to take the Halo series, reflecting on feedback from fans about what they did and did not like. Longo and game leads David Berger and Chris Lee laid out the studio's vision for the next game from a creative and technical standpoint. And while the game definitely is a technical marvel in the same way that Halo 4 was when it came out, you could definitely tell that feedback fell on deaf ears. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love Halo as a franchise. I've loved Halo ever since I was pretty young. I'm not going to tell you how old I am, but I was pretty young. I still remember that day that me and my family walked into the gaming section of Walmart, and there it was on the original Xbox, Halo 1, Halo 2, and Halo 2 map pack, all in one collection. I didn't really think much of it at first. I was like, okay, cool, we're getting more games to play on our original Xbox. But I'm gonna be honest, the moment I played Halo, that was it, man. And it all started back in development with 1997. Where it was originally supposed to be a real-time strategy game, and then it morphed into a third-person shooter, which then it became a first-person shooter. Halo was so iconic back in the day, even when it first came out, that it wasn't a runaway success at release, but it was the system seller for the Xbox, and it's why the Xbox probably did well in the first place. The point is, it was actually the second most highest selling game of all time when it came to the 6th generation. It sold over 4.2 million copies, and it made Microsoft like $170 million. Overall, it got tons of 9s and 10s from just about every single outlet. Bungie would then proceed to make 2 more sequels, a spin-off game, and then a prequel. After all this, Bungie would then proceed to leave Microsoft and go make one of my favorite franchises of all time, which also questions my existence sometimes. It admittedly launched like dog shit, which also had a sequel that launched like dog shit, some mediocre DLCs, yet I still keep playing it. Please help me. You have to admit though, the amount of mysteriousness that you get from launching the first Destiny is fucking amazing. Well anyway, Microsoft said, crap, well now Bungie's gone, what do we do? Enter 343.
The message just repeats. Regret, regret, regret.
A studio handcrafted specifically by Microsoft to remove all Bungie devs so they could get a completely fresh take on Halo. Only very, very few exceptions were made, for example like Frank O'Connor. Essentially, a lot of the people working on the game weren't even too familiar with what Halo even was, which is strange considering it's a cultural icon around that time, but they were basically given a build of Halo Reach and said, hey, build this new game on top of Halo Reach and do whatever you want with the story. Here's the synopsis of the first 3 games, here's a sequel. Oh, and make it in a year, please. Now, I would like to get it out of the way that I think Halo 4's story isn't that bad. There's definitely some changes they could have made with the Master Chief and stuff that could have made it a lot better, but ultimately, it's not horrible. Where it does suck, though, is the art style. I cannot stand the Halo 4 art style when it comes to aesthetics. It is so ugly. The gameplay is still pretty fun, though, and I will say, weapons like the assault rifle in Halo 4 feel really, really good. I think the game's biggest problem is that it decided to follow a lot of trends with its overall game design, which I can't even blame them for, because the main resource they had to go off of was Halo Reach, which was a drastically different game to all the ones they made prior. But okay, we have Halo 4. Halo 4 introduces this new planet and a new race of guys that you can fight and kill and a bunch of new weapons and stuff. Alright, that's pretty cool. Game's overall not that bad, some mixed reception, but okay, it's the first game from a new studio that has to go off of given source material that was based on gameplay from Halo Reach. Maybe they shouldn't have changed the art style, but whatever, fine. So why is Halo 5 so garbage? Longos was a fan of the squad-based gameplay experiences, and the team wanted to introduce more main characters besides the Master Chief. This seemed like a pretty good opportunity for 343 to introduce Blue Team into the actual main game lore. But where 343 went wrong is that they'd kinda just decided to introduce Blue Team with almost no context whatsoever. After having 4 main games based on just Master Chief's story, and then suddenly now he has 3 other teammates, it made absolutely no sense. Why were these other guys here? And the only people who knew about Blue Team were the people who actually cared to read the Halo comics and such. They wanted to take this opportunity to explore Master Chief through other perspectives. One of the early thoughts was kind of throwing the Chief paradigm a little bit on its head, to have some mystery enshrouding him and what his motivations are, like we'd not seen him before. Longo recalled setting up the idea of a hunt for Master Chief across multiple locations, with alternating viewpoints similar to Halo 2. To achieve this, the studio introduced characters from the expanded fiction with Blue Team. So they opted, hey, let's create another team as well to act as a contrast. Then 343 initially considered making this group Fireteam Majestic, characters from the Halo 4 episodic series Spartan Ops. For those out of the loop, Spartan Ops was a 1-season, 10-episodic, 50-mission-long co-op side story introduced in Halo 4. It was based around the team known as Fireteam Majestic or Crimson. Judging by the fact that they weren't used though, obviously Spartan Ops didn't do very well. That is why it is only 1 season. The idea of Spartan Ops though should be reused again in my opinion. It just so happens that it was a part of Halo 4 and well, people already didn't really care for Halo 4's gameplay as much. But the overall concept is good, but obviously in this case it didn't do them very well, which is why we went with a different fire team instead, known as Fireteam Osiris. Initially, taking a look at some of the stuff that happens in Halo 4, the game is an absolute technical achievement on the Xbox One technology. From some of the background details and the capability of things happening all on screen at once, with the level of detail of just all of the weapons and such, like, it's a very beautifully crafted game, but once again, it carries the art style from Halo 4, which people just didn't like. They were seriously considering that feedback from Halo 4 though, by the way. That's why we got advanced movement. Which basically made the game not a Halo game anymore. I'm gonna go ahead and throw in my opinion on this one as someone who is a big Halo fan, or was a big Halo fan. Advanced movement was really fun in Halo 5. Extremely fun. A lot of Halo 5's core is a really good game. From the unique model of the SMG and how good it felt to use, and just other stuff like the thrusters and boosting and ground pounding into the ground with the hero's landing punch thing. All of it is really cool stuff. But at the same time, none of it is Halo. It is technology that almost feels far too advanced for the franchise. It's a little more like Titanfall without wall running or something, for example, right? Or like Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. The overall gameplay is really cool, and I love the assault rifle and battle rifle and fucking some people up with Halo 5's gameplay, but it is not. It is not true to your Halo core combat. I remember when I was a younger kid and I got Halo 4, I pre-ordered it and got it the day it came out. I played it and I was extremely disappointed. I was not happy at all. It took me getting older to like appreciate a little more of what Halo 4 has done and come around to liking it some. But Halo 5's story overall is pretty inexcusably bad. They make up some like really lame excuse for Master Chief to just go AWOL, quote unquote, so Fireteam Osiris can chase after him, and Blue Team, who is already just there out of nowhere, is just like, yeah, I guess we'll help you out, Chief. You're one of our brothers, which, I mean, respect, but, you know, he didn't have, like, a good motivational reason for this to be considered AWOL or any of that shit. I don't know, the story just doesn't make sense. But the thing that really hurt Halo 5 overall wasn't even everything that I just talked about. It was probably the Hunt the Truth trailers that they did for the game before it came out. After everything Halo 4 did, Hunt the Truth trailers were pretty fucking awesome. It like made this situation that made it seem like that Master Chief had like suddenly went AWOL, or maybe he went crazy, or something's obviously amiss, right? Because like these two Spartans are pointing guns at each other, and they have opposite versions of the trailer to have Locke putting Master Chief in his place, and vice versa. Whether you thought it was a really cool idea that was true to the original franchise or not, you have to admit that you were extremely interested in whatever the hell they were planning to do. Cue the trailer.
Is this what you wanted? Is this what you were looking for? Was everything you've compromised, everything you've done, worth it? Was it? Attention, Spartan lock. Mine is just beginning.
It doesn't help that Halo 5 was also advertised with the microtransaction rec pack bullshit. Yeah, that's all I really have to say there. Now let's talk about Halo 5's kind of awful launch when it came to multiplayer content. There wasn't shit like Big Team Battle or Forge Mode or really that many maps at release. The first update added to the game added Big Team Battle, and the second added Forge Mode. Just about every single update added to the game also added rec packs to the game, which I will say real quick, rec packs were only tied to the Warzone mode. And look, Warzone was actually really cool, especially Warzone Firefight with like the big bosses and stuff that also got added later. But like, the rec packs would give you these unique versions of each weapon. For example, you might have like, I don't know, an SMG with like a scope on it or something that you can use. It's kind of cool. And it was only tied to these modes. So it was like, there's all this unique and cool, awesome attachments and like weapon customization going on, but only tied to these microtransactions. Anyway, the reception of the game when it came out was actually quite positive for most gaming outlets. Unsurprisingly, of course, I mean, they get paid off for shit. But also at the exact same time, like, the fans were definitely not happy. At least the main core. Like, if you still stayed after Halo 4, which is where a lot of people did drop off, considering that Halo 4 was probably one of the best-selling games of all time, Halo 5 only sold about 5 million copies in its first 3 months. It was the lowest-selling Halo title in the UK. From the gameplay changes, to the rec packs and advertising, the live service content drip feed, which is only what we could honestly hope for at this point in time in 2023 with games like fucking Halo Infinite. People just did not appreciate what was going on with the Halo franchise, and I don't blame them. I was pissed off. I didn't even buy the game. I didn't play Halo 5 until 2 years after it came out. But all in all, looking back on it though, I have to admit, Halo 5 was an extremely fun game to play. While it wasn't Halo, I mean, look, it still had some of the core stuff that made Halo, like really fun vehicle combat, satisfying guns, shit like the Ghost and running people over, using the Wraith to blow up like 12 people at the same time, or getting an ultra kill or overkill with a sniper rifle. If those guys were allowed to make another Halo 5 style of gameplay type game, but it wasn't Halo, honestly, I would buy the shit out of that in a heartbeat, because it just really was and flowed that good. But that concludes this episode of Why It Failed. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you have any suggestions for future Why It Failed episodes in the future, please leave a comment below and I'll take it into consideration.